The recent endorsement of President Trump's campaign by RFK Jr. is a massive leap forward when it comes to promoting fitness and health within not only the United States, but Canada as well. I'm going to explore why on this episode, so stay tuned. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode, and I want to tackle this big headline. And the reason why is that it hits on exactly the topics that we cover here on the Hard to Kill podcast, which is fitness and health. RFK Jr., if you're not tracking, is the son of Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy being President Kennedy, so John F. Kennedy's brother. He's been an advocate for environmentalism. He's a lawyer, and he's been at the forefront of many legal battles that have helped the long-term health of Americans for decades, namely cleaning up the Hudson River. He's been mired in controversy because of his stance against vaccines, which he has lots of evidence to show that they may not be as effective as one might think. But overall, his policies and his ideas, when stress tested, seem very well researched and seem to be coming from a genuine place of care and love for his people. With that being said, let's get into his recent announcement that he'll be supporting the Trump campaign and what that means for the long-term health and fitness of the Americans if Trump gets reelected. Hey folks, I just want to interrupt this podcast for a hot minute to talk about skincare. Yeah, I know, not something that you might typically expect from a podcast like this, but skincare for me has been really important ever since I deployed to Afghanistan. Let me explain. You see, while I was deployed, I saw a lot of guys not taking care of their skin, and when they got home, they looked like a leather mitt. I didn't want anything to do with that, so I had a pretty serious skincare routine while I was deployed, but I've always struggled to find the right product since coming back. Well, that's where things have changed. I've recently started using Skin Mason as my everyday go-to skincare product. This is a two-step process and it's for guys. So you take the scrub, you scrub your face, and then you finish it off with the serum that's right here. This two-step system has already shown results, and my skin feels a lot softer and looks a lot better from when I first started just a few days ago. Because you're a loyal listener of the podcast, I want to make sure that you're well looked after. If you go to skinmason.com and get your first order today, you're going to get a 10% discount by using the code H2KPOD. I hope you can find a product that works for you and that you can start looking a lot younger, a lot fresher, and a lot harder to kill in the near future. So that's skinmason.com and grab your skincare products today.
Trump says that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight as soon as he becomes president. This alone would justify my support for his campaign. Last summer, it looked like no candidate was willing to negotiate a quick end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic disease epidemic, to protect free speech, our constitutional freedoms, to clean corporate influence out of our government, or to defy the neocons and their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted these issues as his own, to the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration. I'm speaking, of course, of Donald Trump. Less than 2 hours after President Trump narrowly escaped assassination, Callie Means called me on my cell phone. I was then in Las Vegas. Callie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration, and for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy.
And destroying Canada's. I mean, we've got the very same issue here. We've got a agribusiness that is massive. We've got a big pharma business, which is not nearly as controlling as the Americans, but needless to say, it's still very much present here in Canada. And our nutrient density is declining year over year. And nobody's addressing the chronic disease issue here as well. So good on Kennedy for bringing this up.
Callie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic. Callie had been working on and off for my campaign, advising me on those subjects since the beginning. And those subjects have been my primary focus for the last 20 years. I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease and other subjects and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and closest advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues.
So with that being said, we've got an alliance forming here with an individual like RFK Jr. has been an established Democrat for decades. The Kennedy family goes back to the early 1900s in the political scene in the United States. Basically, the only politician that I've heard in Canada or the US talking about this chronic disease issue. And finally, it's getting the platform that I think it deserves, because I don't think you can have a long-term success plan as a nation without ensuring the health and safety of its citizens. Like, I think that's democracy 101. Back in the day, it wasn't typically a thing, right? And we'll get into what Kennedy's objectives are right now, and then we'll get into historically what this typically looked like. And is this something new that's going on? So let's get into what Kennedy is proposing here. So from his website at kennedy24.com and the chronic disease epidemic, and he's got a lot of other promises and policies that he's talking about, but I just want to focus on this one because it's the most relevant to what we're discussing here on the podcast. So I highlighted this part here. The current generation is the sickest in American history. When John F. Kennedy was president, 6% of American kids had chronic health conditions. Today it's 60%. Rates of autoimmune disease, diabetes, ADD, ADHD, autism, obesity, asthma, food allergies, and other chronic health conditions have been skyrocketing. And anecdotally, we know that too. I mean, as a teacher, every year I would get a bunch of papers from parents to do the ADHD, ADD diagnosis. Now, growing up, I didn't have anybody that had that diagnosis at all. That was the 80s, early 90s. And it's just skyrocketed. Autism. I didn't know a single person with autism. Only in like the early 2000s did we start seeing kids kind of with autism. Don't know what's going on there. And then all the other chronic diseases, diabetes. The only kid that I knew that had diabetes had type 1 diabetes, juvenile diabetes, born with it as a genetic disorder, right? Not acquired, which was called adult onset diabetes when I was a kid, because it was when you got older and fatter and sicker that diabetes would take hold. But now we're seeing it in kids. Kids as old as like 10. That's bananas. What's going on? There has to be a reason. I'm sure it's multifactorial, but President, or I should say RFK, not President Getty, but RFK Jr. is tackling this head on. He made a bold statement here, and he's quoted as, "When I am president," which he no longer will be at this point if he's partnering up with Trump, "I'm going to end the chronic disease epidemic in this country. If I have not significantly dropped the level of chronic disease in our children by the end of my first term, I do not want you to reelect me." This guy's a gangster, man. This guy's a straight up political gangster. I want this guy on my side. For a guy to be so bold to come out and say that, and he seems like the type of guy that would be, well, you know what? I crushed it on everything, but the one thing that I promised here didn't turn out. I have to step down. Honor, nobility, like everything like wrapped up into one dude. I don't know, man. That's pretty powerful stuff. And I highlight a few other things here in terms of as President Kennedy, he will also uproot the influence of big pharma and Wall Street firms that are heavily invested in the medical industry from medical regulatory agencies. The cool thing about this is he doesn't just post things on a website with nothing to back it up. I've heard him talk about this on the Sean Ryan show, where he has a literal plan to institute this type of change. Secondly, transition from a toxic, degenerative industrial food system to an organic, regenerative system of agriculture. That's cool. And start a national fitness program like the one his uncle JFK implemented. Okay, we're going to get into that in a hot minute. Okay, so stay tuned. We're going to look at JFK's fitness program. It is absolutely bananas, and I think I'm going to have to implement it within my community at the Veterans Getting Fit AF crew. Historically, and I'm going way back here to Nikola Tesla, it was predicted by Tesla that hygiene, physical culture will be recognized branches of education and government. And I'm quoting him. The Secretary of Hygiene or Physical Culture will be far more important in the cabinet of the President of the United States who holds office in the year 2035 than the Secretary of War. The pollution of our beaches, such as exists today around New York City, will seem as unthinkable to our children and grandchildren as life without plumbing seems to us. Our water supply will be far more carefully supervised, and only a lunatic will drink unsterilized water. Okay, so this has been foreseen that we will actually start waking up. Now, we've got about 10 years to do so. Is this the moment? Like, is Tesla being as prescient as he was, being as big of a genius as he was, is he on the mark with this? I think he might. I think we're hitting a turning point, and I'm an eternal optimist. I think things are going to get way better. And once we can get over this hurdle, we've got a lot of things in our way, obstacles, big pharma being one of them. And the reason why they're getting in our way is they don't fix any issues. They mask them. So rather than get into the core of what's ailing you, you mask the symptom and can stay hooked on their pills and their drugs. Now, there are obviously products that they put out that are life-saving. But overall, they have far too much influence. And what it does is it makes our doctors into pill pushers. Case in point, I went the other day, I wanted a certain test. I got a lecture on why I should be taking a statin. Well, why? I mean, my cholesterol isn't really that high. And historically, it's always been relatively high. It's genetic. And you can talk to a doctor or listen to a doctor like Philip Ovadia, who's been on the podcast, who says, look, I operate on people with high and low cholesterol equally with coronary heart disease. It's not a LDL issue. It's a lifestyle issue. It's a metabolic disease issue. And Big Pharma doesn't want you to fully grasp that. You don't need them as long as you go outside, you go walk, you get some sun, you eat some really good food, you sleep well, and you have great people around you. It's as simple as that. That's it. And all of this can be distilled into that. But there's no magic pill for that. There's no immediate sense of relief from your pain from me telling you go outside for a walk and go get some vitamin D in your face. Thanks, Dave. That's not really helping me now. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but how did you get to that state? And that's where we're trying to bridge that gap. We've gotten to a point now where too many people are sick and our kids are sick. That should be our wake-up call. So let's get into what the standard was. This is cool. So this is the backstory on JFK's physical fitness challenge, essentially. So it goes way back to the Second World War. There was a concern that fitness peaked in the 50s with the publication of a study that found American children far less fit than children in other countries. I don't know how they judge that. Like, I don't know what standard they were using. This is a whole rabbit hole that I don't have a research team yet to quite go down into, but in the response to President Eisenhower established the President's Council on Youth Fitness with Executive Order 10673 issued in 56. Okay. You can see here on the right-hand side of the page is the shape of things to come. And it's a portly man, but nowhere near the size of big dudes, rotund individuals we see on the streets today. This, I guess, was supposed to be like fear-mongering back in the day. Like, oh my God, you're going to be this fat. And it was supposed to scare the shit out of people. Hey, joke's on you guys. We're way fatter than that now. So that's an interesting little piece of government. I'm going to say propaganda. That's too strong of a term. But it's good propaganda. So what do you call that? I don't know. Information? New frontiers for fitness. So John F. Kennedy showed his commitment to improving the nation's fitness even before he took the oath of office. After the election, he published the Soft American in Sports Illustrated. That'd be a cool article to look up and post. I'll see if I can find it. He proposed a 50-mile hike, which is pretty interesting. Now, where'd this come from? So perhaps the most famous intervention in the area of fitness was the 50-mile hike in late 1962. President Kennedy discovered an executive order from Teddy Roosevelt challenging U.S. Marine officers to finish 50 miles in 20 hours. Do the Marines do that still? Is that a thing? Is that for you Marines out there? Is that something that any you Marine officers ever had to do? Because that's a cool-ass test. Kennedy passed the document to Marine General David M. Shoup. The president suggested that Shoup bring it up as his own discovery and challenge modern-day Marines to duplicate this feat. Kennedy went on to say, should your report to me indicate that the strength and stamina of the modern Marine is at least equivalent to that of his antecedents, I will then ask Mr. Salinger to look into the matter personally and give me a report on the fitness of the White House staff. He put the White House staff on blast, man. He's like, hey, fatties, you better be ready. You got a 50-mile hike coming. If the Marines can do it, we're all going to do it. What a gangster. Man, that's so cool. Could you imagine? I mean, I got to give Trudeau his due here. He is fit. I mean, one of the reasons that attracted me to him, not that way, guys, but as a political candidate, was he was a snowboarder, he was outdoorsy, he ran, he was boxing, all these things. I was like, okay, finally somebody who's fit, somebody who actually takes health seriously, but he's done nothing to spur that on at all. If anything, people have gotten significantly worse under his leadership. But Kennedy, man, this guy's a freaking leader. He's a gangster. Look at him go. But apparently that dude, Salinger, was like, nah, bro, he was joking that I'm going to bitch out. So how about I just not do that? But Robert Kennedy, so he was the attorney general at the time, that's Kennedy's brother, undertook the hike, clad in leather Oxford shoes. Man, these guys from the 60s were just another breed, man. And completed the full distance through snow and slush. Salinger pointed to him as proof of the administration's fitness. It's like, see that guy over there? He's fit. We're all like him. Well done, Bobby. Thanks, man. So that's RFK's dad. So clearly he's coming from a pedigree of fitness and health. And the backstory on that is really fascinating. This is the second time I bring it up, but go check out, and I'll put the link here to Sean Ryan's podcast with RFK. Amazing conversation. And you just get the backstory of the whole Kennedy family, right? But the real impact of the 50-mile hike was with the public at large. Many Americans took the hike as a challenge from their president. The Kennedy Council capitalized on this enthusiasm with a national publicity campaign on physical fitness. The campaign was organized, extensive media savvy, and above all, countrywide. That's so cool. That's so cool. I guess that was kind of like participation here in Canada back in the 80s. I haven't seen anything since. Education is not nationalized here either. So it might be hard to institute a national policy, which I think is just laziness on part of us Canadians. But there definitely should be something. So to wrap it up, the fitness program, the council's fitness curriculum was devised with the cooperation of 19 major U.S. educational and medical organizations. Hey, medical organizations got involved. I bet you today they would not want to get involved because they're like, yeah, but you could get hurt by doing too much physical activity. They would probably bitch out and say it's not recommended. 200,000 copies were distributed at no cost, and another 40,000 were sold. That would put me straight up right out of business. The council engaged in a sweeping drive to achieve widespread participation in the program for the 1961-62 school year. A core group of almost 250,000 school children took part in the pilot projects in 6 states. At the end of the year, half again as many students passed a physical fitness test as had a year earlier. Furthermore, there was a general improvement of physical education programs around the country. That's just one dude saying, let's get fit. And it was the president, and he got people fired up to do it. It wasn't like an executive order like thou shall. He made it so that it was encouraging. And I'll just finish this last sentence here, and I'll get into what the actual program looks like. There is some insane videos from the 60s. So the program produced a measurable improvement in fitness nationwide, as well as a shift in public attitudes and wider participation. So this can be done. Like this is doable. It was done in the 60s with less communication ability. There was no internet. There was radio and a bit of TV. Not even everybody had TVs back in the day. So leaflets, pamphlets, send it out to the schools, disseminate it, and let the people run with it. And they did. How many? 250,000 school children. Man, 250,000. That's a lot of kids, man. So the program looked like this. This is so gangster. I'm going to show this here on the screen. It's from Facebook. Let's play this.
You've probably heard that American kids are getting soft. The marshmallow generation, some people call them.
Can you believe they're calling them marshmallows?
Overstuffed,
They're all fit.
overindulged. They supposedly are incapable of hard work or response to challenge.
The tropes keep on going
These
every
are
year.
American kids you're watching. Not the United States Marines, and not all athletes. But a group of high school boys who just happen to be in the same physical education program. There is
Not a fat
one
kid in
difference.
sight. Look, not a fat kid in sight.
They
There's
attend
no fat
La
kids.
Sierra High School in Carmichael, California.
Whatever this exercise is, I've
This
never seen it
workout would
before.
exhaust most high school boys.
And it
Several
looks
years ago,
absolutely
the coach
brutal.
of a top-ranked college football team had his players try it. A lot of them didn't last the full 12 minutes. For these La Sierra students, this is a warm-up. It's something they do every physical education period, 5 days a week. There's a lot more.
Oh, man,
and
I love
some of it
this.
strains the imagination
I
almost
love
as much as
this.
it does the muscles. La Sierra's staff
That
believes
exercise
physical
again.
fitness is physical education's first responsibility. The development of muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, agility,
Look at
and
these kids
balance
go, man.
are major program objectives. Both boys and
Oh.
girls are exposed to a variety of sports activities.
Oh, those are brutal.
But one of the physical educator's favorite slogans, "Get fit by playing," has been changed
Look at this kid
to
go. Handstand
"Get
push-ups.
fit to play."
What's going on?
Let's listen.
We
Dude,
want our students to experience.
they're
the pleasures of
doing
being in great shape,
one-handed
and we
monkey
want them
bars?
to know how to stay that way.
What?
The exercise a person gets during his growing years influences his vital capacity.
Wait.
His
Did I
staying
just
power.
see that right? Was that kid doing one-handed monkey bars?
Let's listen.
We want our
Oh
students
my
to experience
God.
the pleasures of being in great shape,
What?
and we want them to know how to stay that way.
That's a rotator cuff injury
the exercise a person
guaranteed.
gets during his growing years influences his vital capacity, his staying power, and other qualities that will affect his whole future as a human being. If we didn't emphasize physical development and physical fitness, we wouldn't be doing our jobs.
We wouldn't be doing our jobs.
Student
Amen,
response to
brother.
this demanding program is surprisingly enthusiastic. La Sierra is one of the few schools in America where physical fitness testing is a spectator sport, or where a student's friends will turn out to cheer him on. Students who pass the most difficult tests have their names prominently displayed in the school and are as highly regarded as star athletes.
I love this, man.
Teachers attribute the program's popularity to the fact that the methods and principles of competitive athletics are applied to physical education. Students are deliberately and systematically required to go all out to improve performance. They are members of physical fitness teams.
Amazing.
And they have opportunities to advance from one team to another. To do so, they must pay the athlete's price. Learning to accept hard work, fatigue, and occasionally even pain is part of the La Sierra experience. Here's what one student has to say
Legless
about it.
pole climbs. Wow.
At first you wonder if you're going to be able to keep up and do what's expected of you. Then when you discover that you can,
Guys, I'm telling you,
you
like,
start
there's
to get
no way I'm
excited
passing
about
this
the
test.
possibilities. There's always another challenge, a higher level
no
to
way.
try to reach.
The one
I think that's what kids are looking for.
one-handed?
Today. That's what a lot of kids are looking for today.
Yeah, and talk about like destroying the anxiety culture we have.
Success in motivating students.
Imagine every day
is
you're
due to the
out
color system,
PTing yourself to
now
death.
widely used in schools all across the country. When a boy enters La Sierra as a freshman, he is assigned to the white team and wears white gym trunks. As soon as he can exceed the requirements of the first battery of physical fitness tests,
Look at this.
he is
Look at
moved
this.
up to the red team and wears red trunks.
What?
If he should
What?
fail, he will be given another
They're doing
chance
the
as
flag?
soon as he feels he is ready.
These aren't like gymnasts.
Advancement depends
This
exclusively
is regular-ass
on
kids in high
performance,
school.
not on subjective judgments by a teacher. The teachers designed it that way, and they say
Oh,
it's
wait. Let's go back. As a former teacher, this is like the most important part, I think. They're talking about how it's structured.
on performance, not on subjective judgments. As soon as he fitness tests, he is moved up to the red team and wears red trunks. If he should fail, he will be given another chance as soon as he feels he is ready. Advancement depends exclusively on performance, not on subjective judgments by a teacher. The teacher
I love that. Advancement is based on performance, not subjective judgment. So you either meet the standard or you don't. It's not because I don't like you. It's not because you don't quite have the right feel. Cold, hard numbers, bro. Did you make the time or not? I love that.
designed it that way, and they say it's a key to the system's success.
That's Pedagogy 101, baby. Pedagogy
There are
101.
6 standardized levels of achievement at La Sierra, and the greatest prize a student can win is the right to wear navy blue trunks. Only 6 boys ever have made it. Blue ranks right above red, with purple next, and then gold.
Gold trunks, nice.
The various shadings of the basic colors are worn by students who have distinguished
those guys.
themselves in athletics.
Like, these are high school kids. They're shredded.
The color
Shredded.
system has 2 distinct advantages. First, it's a convenient method of grouping students by ability instead of age, so that they are always competing with others of like ability. Second, it works. More than 90% of the students advance from the white team to the red team during their first year of school. And about 60% eventually make the blue team. Only 1 or 2 of every 100 students wears white trunks throughout high school.
That's
a teacher
insane.
has this additional
It's
observation.
insane.
Testing also enables us to identify any problems or weaknesses a student may have and to recommend remedial activities. Our main objective is a high level of development and fitness for all students, rather than just for those athletically gifted.
Teachers at other schools often are amazed at the levels of performance achieved at La Sierra. To qualify for the blue team, a boy must do 14 pull-ups, run 2 miles in 13 minutes, carry a boy his own weight for 3/4 of a mile,
What?
run the mile in 6 minutes, 15 seconds, or better,
Oh, 6
and
minutes?
successfully complete 12 other tests of comparable difficulty.
That's
Members
the
of gold
CanSoft
team
test.
must do 22 pull-ups, and their other standards are similarly higher.
22 This is the CanSoft test. This is high school students. And these guys aren't fucking around. Like, they're
The
doing
girls follow
handstand
their own
push-ups.
version of the La Sierra program. The workouts aren't so fast-paced or so demanding of strength and stamina, but the objectives are essentially the same. You've probably heard
Wow. Okay. So that's a thing. And that, I think, puts 99% of us to shame. So these guys are, what? They were there in the 60s. So I guess that means they're in their 70s now. It'd be really cool to know what they did, like in terms of where did they end up in life? How successful were they? Did they maintain their fitness? Did they have any mental health issues? What was their health like? Like a longitudinal study. Like, this is, I need to know. I need to know what went on with these kids, because I don't know how long this program lasted, but clearly it's not in effect anymore. And I like how at the beginning they're like, yeah, the marshmallow generation. These kids, the marshmallow generation. They were worried then when nobody was fat If they were, I've got so many questions. Okay, so if we just, this is a little bit more context to the physical fitness program at oldschooltrainer.com. But I just wanted to show a video from President Kennedy addressing the nation about this very topic here. 1962.
I welcome this opportunity to speak to the people of America about a subject which I believe to be most important, and that is the subject of physical fitness. And I speak not only as President of the Union, but also as a parent of 2 children who I hope will grow up with those qualities of vigor and energy which we identify with the best of America. This should be a matter of concern to us all. A country is as strong really as its citizens. And I think that mental and physical health, mental and physical vigor go hand in hand.
We have not had any leaders in my lifetime even come close to mentioning this. I can't remember a single one. So what happened? What happened? Kennedy is a gangster, man. Like, he's talking about physical and mental health as one thing. What we've done is we've separated them both. We got to work on your mental health. Yeah, but how do you do that? You get outside and you do PT. You do PT every day, all day. That's the way forward, man. That's it. If it starts coming down from the top and we, get all the whiny crybabies out of the way, we're like, oh, but I have asthma. Yeah, you know what? Go stuff your asthma in a sack, man. It's because you're weak. Like, get out there, do some PT. You can find something to do to build up your lungs so that you can actually get rid of that asthma, man. Like, I got so many questions now as to why we have the system the way we do and how did it get the way it is right now. But thankfully, at least it gives me a platform, because if we had gangsters like Kennedy in charge, there'd be no personal trainers. You'd just be all fit. That's probably why there was no personal trainers back in the day. Why would you go see one? You'd be like, yeah, I'm fit. What? I don't need you. Get out of my life.
I hope that we will not find a day in the United States when all of us are spectators except for a few who are out on the field. I hope all Americans will be on the field. That is, they will concern themselves with the education of their children, with the physical development of their children, with the participation in the vigorous life, and then also, as their children get older, inculcate into them a desire to maintain that vigor through their normal life. Our citizens are living longer, and we want them to participate fully in that longer life. But they can only do so if they give some of their time and some of their effort to maintaining that vitality. This is a subject which should be of interest to us all. And I hope when we have seen the astonishing results which we have seen from our work in a few schools across the country, where we've been able in the short space of 2 and 3 months to change the physical habits and strength of our children, that this will spread to every school district in the United States, that all of us will participate in the life around us, and in so doing will be better citizens and happier ones. This is a challenge for us all, children, boys and girls, college students, mothers and fathers, and all of us, I think, should welcome it. I hope all of you will join in a great national effort to build a strong and better America through physical effort and through the contributions we can make by the drive and force we bring to our daily lives. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know where we went wrong, but clearly we're on the right path with fitness and health back in the day. And then something just went sideways. And I think it's the capture by these big industries, right? That just said, yeah, you know what? All this fitness stuff, yeah, it's great. You know what? Eat more snacks, eat more cake all day. You're probably going to get hurt. So why don't we just go easy on the PT? And let's make sure you get addicted to TV and stay inside all day. I think there's some insidious stuff going on there, but ultimately I think it's just businesses trying to make a profit, right? So let's look at the actual program here. I got a copy, a PDF here. This is the La Sierra High School Physical Education Department handbook. This is, I need to be able to see what the actual program is. Like the color systems here, Like this is an actual like scan of somebody's old school document, the silver program, the Grand Slam. Okay. So here we go. Physical fitness tests. Test battery number 1, white team. All right. This is my challenge to you guys. All right. We're going to do this. We're going to do this together as a community. We're going to do test number 1. Veterans, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you're going to want to tune into this offer. We are more obese, suffer from higher rates of chronic pain, and that compounds any mental health issues that might be lingering. I've helped over 1,000 veterans get a grip of their habits and develop a new framework so that they can live happier, healthier lives. I'm offering membership into my Veterans Getting Fit AF community for free this month. Don't hesitate to click the link and let's get you fit AF. All right. We're going to see if we can pass white team for like a 16-year-old boy. All right. Pull-ups, minimum performance 2. Push-ups 16, bar dips 4, sit-ups 30 in 2 minutes, standing broad jump at 6 feet, shuttle run 200 yards in 38 seconds, rope climb at an 18-foot stand start. You can use hands and feet. Agility run 21 seconds, 880-yard run. Ooh, 330. That's fast. Mile run 730. Doable. Man lift and carry 440 yards. Holy smokes. I wonder if you could put the guy down. So you got to pick somebody that's of like equivalent weight. And I got to pick somebody up that's 200 pounds. Ugh. Pegboard, 2 holes. Okay. And swim 50 yards freestyle in 40 seconds. Easy, done and dusted. Okay. What's the ceiling performance? Pull-ups is 10. So to graduate, pull-ups is push-ups 32, bar dips 12, sit-ups 60. Well, it says 60 is hard in 2 minutes if you're not trained. Standing broad jump, almost 7 feet. That's far. Shuttle run, 34 seconds. Okay. Rope climb is legless. That's a toughie. That's a toughie. The agility run, the mile run in 7 minutes. Oh, man. Like, I can do a sub 8. I think my best is 7:30. So I'd just be coming in on the white standard at a 7:30 mile, which I'm busting my guts, man. I'm busting my guts. I'm 42 years old and I can run like a 7:30 mile. I think I'm doing pretty good. But these are tough tests. Like these are all really tough tests. Pegboards. CrossFit started bringing in pegboards a few years ago, I noticed, as a standard, an old school one. I used to have one in my gym in the 80s at my elementary school. Okay, so let's go to the physical fitness test battery number 2, red team. The minimum for, 10, the ceiling is 14 pull-ups, push-ups 48. Wow, that just gets like substantially harder. What is the blue team? 22 pull-ups. Whoa. Wow. That's intense. I'm really trying to find that 12-minute workout here that they said burnt out an entire football team. I'll do some more digging and hopefully I'll find it. But either way, wow. So all that to be said, there has been a time in history where we were able to focus on fitness and health, and we did it at the school level where folks are the most impressionable, students are the most impressionable, and we're living in an era, like Kennedy said, where 60% of our kids have chronic disease. Kids need to move, and they need to move a lot. And I'm a strong believer that if you were to PT your kids every single day, and they can go, man, we're all kids, we know, you can go all day. It needs to be instituted as just as important as doing your math classes. Because like they said, if you institute it and you make it competitive and at your own pace, and it's objective, not subjective standards, they're going to rise to the occasion. And it puts in a bit of discipline, it puts in a bit of competitiveness, all the things that create a really strong community and strong character of an individual. And I think that's what we're desperately missing in our culture here in Canada, in the US, is a feeling of belonging and a feeling of competitiveness and ensuring that we have a really strong character. And fitness is the best way to develop character because it's hard. And like they said, you don't have to be an athlete, but you need to develop your athletic skills. And part of what I'm trying to explain in my new book that is going to be out this Christmas is that you need to establish a hardened mindset, and you need to follow the advice of our ancestors. I'm not talking just the Kennedys. I'm talking about Socrates and Plato and the ancient Greeks that found it a sin for you to waste your body and not be as fit as humanly possible, because you can just do more and be a better human because you think more clearly. And I think if we were to just do that and follow some basic guidelines and just say we are going to prioritize our health and fitness over the next 10 years as a country, we would wipe out the anxiety crisis. We would fundamentally change the male suicide crisis. We would see levels of production that we have never seen before just by doing a simple low-cost change, which is getting people active and fit without having doctors and a whole system around it where it's complicated and overbearing, where it just gets people happy, fit, and driven again, would be the best thing that we could see over the next 10 years and bring us to that 2035 prediction of Nikola Tesla saying that we would have a massive shift towards fitness and health, and our departments that focus on it will be more important than the actual presidency itself. I think we're going to get there, folks. But I want to say thank you for tuning in all the way to the end. And as always, train hard, fight easy. Find all the links to what I'm talking about here in the description, and make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the notifications. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.